My name is Ashley White Corbett, and I am the mental health clinician for the DC Moms Partnership Program at the DC Department of Human Services Economic Security Administration. It is such a pleasure to be here, and we are so thankful for the opportunity to share some important information with you today. I want to acknowledge my director, Laura Zeilinger, who is a huge proponent of family sustainability, and also our administrator, Anthea Seymour, who is an amazing and wonderful visionary, very supportive of families coming together through the two generation intervention approach and supporting the entire family unit. I want to also thank Mayor Bowser for such an amazing opportunity to learn about and to discuss health and well-being on such a huge platform. This summit proves how critical education and advocacy is in terms of national issues around maternal and infant health. Now I'm going to bring up my fantastic colleagues who will be co-presenting with me today, Miss Sabrina Tate and Miss Wylette Burton.
Good morning, welcome. My name is Sabrina Tate. I am the CMHA for the DC Moms Program. And again, welcome to this fabulous presentation that you're about to get.
Good morning. My name is Wylette Burton, and I have the pleasure of working within the Office of the Administrator. I'm a Program and Policy Analyst. I also work with DC Moms as a project coordinator. Today, I'm actually going to be an energy engineer. So you may ask, what is that? That means I'll be in the chat receiving all of your positive feedback and encouraging you to participate with my colleagues as you go on this journey.
Today we will be discussing surviving the storms in our minds, fixing unhelpful thoughts while parenting. Here's our agenda for this breakout session.
Okay, let's go over the guidelines for the virtual presentation. First, feel free to use the chat box to ask questions or make comments. If we may be discussing sensitive topics that may cause some discomfort, please feel free to step away to take care of yourself if this occurs. Thirdly, please be respectful of all attendants' point of view. Lastly, be open to learning something new about you. I'm going to be going over the mission statement for the DC Department of Human Services. The mission of the Department of Human Services is to empower every district resident to reach their full potential by providing meaningful connections to work opportunities, economic assistance, and supportive services.
In alignment with our agency's mission, we have adopted a program called the Mental Health Outreach for Mothers program, right? So it's called DC Moms. And DC Moms is a replication of the Moms Partnership Program that originated in New Haven, Connecticut by Yale University School of Medicine. In 2017, we formulated this partnership in order to bring supportive maternal health services to mothers in the District of Columbia. We use the cognitive behavioral approach in efforts to help mothers decrease depressive symptoms and anxiety, as well as reduce social isolation. We have a program that is structured in the form of classes, right? So we have an 8-week stress management course that allows mothers to learn skill sets that will allow them to manage these depressive symptoms and be able to formulate a cohesiveness and a sense of community in our classes. The course runs for 8 weeks, and we have multiple topics that help mothers understand awareness of their thought process through metacognition. We also teach executive functioning skills because we believe that your work must be done internally before you go out into the workforce and provide and perform work for other people. You must be in a state of peace and balance. And unfortunately, when we are experiencing depressive symptoms and we are worried and overwhelmed as parents, it can get in the way of us engaging in education activities as well as work readiness or work or job activities, right? And so we also teach mothers how to recognize unhelpful thought patterns that then lead to mood dysregulation. And it also then leads to behaviors that may not be acceptable in terms of societal standards or just behaviors that are not conducive to parental interactions or interactions with other individuals. The DC Moms Partnership Program also is predicated on the two-generation intervention approach. It has the sense of touching each and every component. There are 5 components to the two-generation approach, but we focus primarily on mental health and well-being as well as social capital. So in terms of the mental health and well-being, I am the clinician, and so I am helping mothers process what is happening in their cognitive distortions. We are talking about how to reframe those thoughts, those feelings that might get in the way of their health and healing and progress. Ms. Tate, who co-facilitates the course with me, she is the community mental health ambassador. And so while I'm really serious and clinical when it comes to making sure that the moms grasp those skills, she kind of brings humor and let mothers know that, hey, I'm here with you. And so we stand in solidarity with those mothers because we have a shared journey. Oftentimes it is hard to receive information from professionals who may not have experienced the same trials, the same worries, the same concerns, and the same life challenges that you have. And so coming together in this group setting allows for these mothers to be able to share openly what they're experiencing and then are able to grasp and gather additional information so that they can have working tools that will be implemented beyond our 8-week course. Also, I want to mention that we build an environment of sisterhood. And that is why social capital is so important. We teach our mothers that it is important that you understand that we live in an interdependent society. No one is really truly alone and doing things on their own. You have a support network. And while some support networks may not seem to be as strong, we teach mothers how to strengthen those support networks in order to improve their social capital. Even during group sessions, the mothers are able to guide and direct and support one another on information in terms of what's available in the city for community resources. And they're able to help other mothers problem solve when they are in the thick of some serious difficulties involving parenting, involving intimate relationships, and involving just being a mom in general. So today, you get an opportunity to have a sneak peek, which is exclusive, of our one class session called Fixing Unhelpful Thoughts. And so this is exclusive because only 10 of participants are able to enroll in our 8-week stress management course. Today, you will learn how depression and anxiety contributes to your mental behavioral storms. That is why we've named this session Surviving the Storms in Our Minds, because everyone experienced some sort of chaos in trying to disseminate what kinds of thoughts are helpful and what kinds of thoughts are unhelpful when we have to make decisions and when we have to progress in our lives. You're also going to learn what your personal storms look like and how it impacts your mood. Sometimes our mood oftentimes our mood determines our action. And so what we want you to understand is that connection, the connection between the mind, the connection between the mood, and the connection between your motives. Then you're going to learn how to identify unhelpful thoughts and develop skills to fix them. We are a very motivated team who wants to inspire you to be able to use whatever it is that you grasp from this presentation. We want you to leave with tools that will equip you to solve your problems from now and beyond. Okay? So then finally, we are going to teach you survival strategies to calm your storms and to improve the messages you send to your children. Remember, we are talking about you, but we're also talking about your children because parenting is essential and stress management is essential as well. And marrying the two together, you're going to not only positively impact you and your mood and your mind and your behavior, but you're also going to impact those of your children because they are watching. And so you are modeling behavior. So let's talk about how depression shows up in families. Here are a list of common and very specific symptoms of depression. There's a sense of hopelessness, tearfulness, irritability, where people just seem so on edge, unexplained weight loss or weight gain, where they may lose or gain 25 to 30 pounds in a short period of time, aggression, insomnia, which is lack of sleep, hypersomnolence, which is too much sleep. We had one mom who graduated from our program, and at the graduation ceremony, she gave a testimony, and her statement was that she was asleep for an entire year. And upon joining the Moms Partnership Program, she was able to get out of bed, and she thanked us for feeling as if she had awakened. She said, "Thank you. This program helped me, and I am awake, and I finally am able to get out of bed, and now I am privy to my purpose." That touched our hearts because we knew that this work was going to be hard, but we didn't know how effective we would be and how it would turn into hard work. Suicidal ideation is also a symptom of depression, as well as apathy, which is lack of interest or motivation in engaging in activities that you once found pleasurable. This is how anxiety shows up in families. Have you ever had a moment where you felt like you needed a paper bag to just breathe in, right? You're like, oh my gosh. One of the symptoms of depression that I didn't put on here was like trembling, right? You're like, oh my goodness, right? Because you're overwhelmed. Okay, so worry, racing thoughts are a symptom of depression where you're thinking, oh my goodness, you can't sleep at night, difficulty concentrating, you're easily distracted, you experience fatigue, nausea, shallow breathing, and also your muscles become really, really tense. You may experience headaches. You may also experience heart palpitations where you feel like your chest is your heart is going to burst out of your chest, and then sweating where your palms get really, really, really moist, and then you form sweat beads on your forehead and underneath your arms, right? So those are symptoms of anxiety. And the reason that I'm talking to you about these depressive symptoms and these symptoms of anxiety is because these thoughts, these psychological, these physiological experiences contribute to the storm that you have in your mind, and vice versa. It's both of them are impacted by one another. So it's like going back and forth. All right. So let's do some deep breathing exercises because I wanted to talk to you about how to be calm before your storm. And so let's shake out your arms. Because we are doing this live because you need to know how effective this deep breathing skill is. Okay, this deep breathing technique is going to allow you to be able to calm down in the middle of difficult situations and help you make the best decision for you and your family when raised with the opportunity. Okay, so you shake out your arms, shake out your legs, relax your shoulders. Okay, now you're going to sit up in your chair. Place your feet flat on the floor and your hands in your lap. Now, I want you to take a few breaths normally. Okay. Now, I want you to place one hand on your chest, the other hand on your belly. Close your eyes. Now, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, for 4 seconds, inhale in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last time, inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Open your eyes. Release your hands. How do you feel? I feel calm. I feel cool and collected. And so some people may feel sleepy because you need more rest. And so if that's the case, you need to go to bed early tonight, okay? So now let's talk about 3 reasons why deep breathing works. The first reason is that it promotes calmness. So I feel good. Do you feel good? I hope you do. And so it also decreases high blood pressure. So when you get in those moments where you feel like your blood pressure is about to shoot through the roof, stop and practice your deep breathing technique. This really works. You can do this in the store. You can do this in the car. You can do this in the bathroom. You can do this anywhere, and you can teach it to your children as young as 2 years old. Why? Because you're going to be teaching them how to regulate their mood and how to make better choices when they feel like they're about to have a temper tantrum. Okay? All right.
Okay, now let's get into our activity today. So today we're going to be talking about what storm do you most identify with, you guys. So in the chat box, you're going to identify if you're 1, 2, or 3. Now I'm going to describe these storms to you. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. A blizzard is cold, distant, quiet, deceptive. It's like, when it's a snowstorm outside and you're stuck in the house and you can't go nowhere. You're stuck in that storm. And then you have your standstorm, which is aggressive, dismissive, impatient, explosive. And that's when you feel like everything is just happening and you don't have no control over, but you got to go out here and do the best you can. And then you have that tornado. It's chaotic, it's reckless, it's unpredictable, destructive, consuming. And you're just caught in a tornado and you can't go nowhere. You just have to deal with it. So I want you to put in that chat whether you're a 1, 2, or 3, and then we can just go on to discuss. We'll give you a few moments. Okay. Now, let me describe what kind of storm I am. I am a blizzard, y'all, because when I'm upset and I get anxious, I just get cold and distant and quiet. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to talk about my problems. I just want to be in that blizzard.
And so, Sabrina, thank you so much for sharing what kind of mental storm you have when you are under stress and when you might be experiencing some sense of anxiety. The blizzard is very interesting because what happens is you allow unhelpful thoughts to pile up like inches of snow. And so while you're thinking, oh my goodness, these people are so inconsiderate. Oh, they really don't care about me. I always knew they felt this way. And so you think about these thoughts until they pile up. And then while you are thinking about all these things, you're appearing on the outside as if everything is okay. That's that form of deception, right? And so while you're thinking about all these problems and you're thinking about how, for example, people are treating you, you're miserable on the inside, but on the outside, you are displaying a defense mechanism called internalization. where your attitude changes because of all that you've been absorbing, all of these thoughts in your mind. And then you decide, you know what, I'm going to suppress. I'm going to truly suppress how I feel. But that's another defense mechanism that people use to protect themselves, and they go into this self-preservation mode, because oftentimes people who are blizzards, they don't want to tell people what's really happening. And they may not be comfortable with really sharing what's actually going on inside their minds for fear of how other people might respond. Also, another defense mechanism is one that you mentioned. You might become cold and distant. You might isolate yourself. And so that may be okay if you're by yourself, but it is not very effective or very positive when you are at home with your children, because oftentimes your children need you and they need your attention. And so if you shut down, you are not able to give them the stimulation and the attention that they may need at any given moment. All because you have all of these things going on in your mind that keeps your focus off of home or keeps your focus off of other more pressing matters. So, do we have any other identifying individuals who can connect with the other storms? Okay. Okay.
In our chat function, our participants are still being a little shy, but I think I can connect with the sandstorm from time to time.
Okay, so in terms of having a mental sandstorm, whatever thoughts you're feeling, whatever conflict you're experiencing in your current environment, you would tend to take all of these feelings, all of the conflict, and then you would transfer them into another environment. Sandstorms do this. They collect all the dust, they collect all the rocks, and then whoosh, this whirlwind happens, and then it goes into another setting and another environment. And so an example that I can use to kind of make this more realistic is, say, for example, you are the parent of a teenager, right? And you tell them repeatedly to clean their room, but you feel ignored and they don't comply. So then you decide, I'm going to call your grandmother because this is ridiculous. And so then you get on the phone and you say, Mom, right? You say, Mom, Terry is not listening. I done told them 4 to 5 times to clean his room, and he is just completely and utterly disrespectful. And then Grandma says, not my baby. Put them on the phone. What are you doing? Why on earth? Why aren't you listening to your? And then everybody is in an uproar. Now all the other kids are coming in to see what's going on. And so you have this big old issue, and it's not just in your household. Now it's in grandma's household. So now aunties and uncles who were over there are now getting into the conversation. And so now there's this big old issue and mess. And your teenager is sitting there thinking, I'm not going to tell my mother anything because all she's going to do is run and tell all of our family members. She's going to put our business in the street. Okay. And so then that makes your child want to shut down. And that's not good because you want to have open and honest communication with your children. And so what you have just done as a sandstorm by bringing other people in, especially your family members, is you have then triangulated. You have then brought someone in as a manipulative tactic to get someone to do something that you wanted them to do. And so that is what sandstorms do. They may go out and they might tell everybody to get a response so that they can feel sided with, right? And so then now we are talking about that mental storm of tornado. Now, the tornado is when your thoughts are spiraling out of control. That's why the attributes are chaotic and destructive and consuming, right? Because you take you take everything in, and then you lose control of your behavioral responses. Because in your mind, you're plotting, oh, how am I going to get this person back? Or, oh, I can't believe they did that. And so they are going to pay for it. So then you have this vindictiveness about you. Why? Because you cannot accept rejection, you can't accept disappointment, and you don't like to be put in a position where you don't feel like you are empowered. So you feel a little bit disempowered. And so as a tornado, you get the opportunity to learn how to control your impulses. But sometimes it is very difficult to have impulse control. And so that's why we're going to teach you a new skill set today. Also, with the tornado, you have consistent thought patterns that interrupt positive thought patterns. And so you begin to catastrophize, right? Every single event that happens to you. It could be that somebody accidentally knocked over your water and you're like, you meant to do that. You did this intentionally to try to ruin my papers. And the person, it may have just been an accident. And so this is why it's so important for us to not take things out of context, not explode or become reckless in our behavioral responses, because our children are ultimately impacted by it. And if you feel like you're in a difficult space where you can't control how you respond, then stop, do some deep breathing, and get connected with a trusting person that you feel safe with to say, hey, I need support on how to manage my behavior, how to manage my anger, what to do when I am completely and utterly stressed. So how does this mental storm impact your mood? Well, if you are a blizzard, then your mood would then, you might be down. You might feel as if, no one cares. You might feel like, I'm in this all by myself. I'm sad. And, the best thing to do for me is isolation, right? Now, if you are a sandstorm, then your mood, you may be frustrated. You may have a frustrated mood. And then if you are a tornado, then your mood is definitely anger. Mm-hmm. And so how does your storm impact the mood of your children? Because again, we're talking about fixing unhelpful thoughts while we are parenting. And so when we experience conflict among family, friends, work, other relationships, we experience these things that we then internalize, and then they are harbored, right? And so when we're harboring these thoughts, those are the perfect conditions for a storm to brew. And so then your children who watch every little thing that you do. Why? Because they have been connected to you since they've been in utero, okay? And so they can feel what you're feeling. And so when your mood is when you are displaying a mood that is frustrated, when you are saying that you're angry, when you're saying that you don't want to be bothered and you feel lonely, then your children are able to sense it, and they're able to observe what you do in that moment. And so then you are then displaying a message. You are sharing a message with your child, whether verbal or nonverbal. And so your frustration could be you slamming things, right? And so then your children then learn, well, maybe this is a way to cope with stress. Because then your coping mechanisms are then transferred to your children, because why? They are little reflections of you. So you may feel lonely. And so then when your child is experiencing some sort of stress, because children do experience stress, then they may go and isolate. And you may say, why? What's wrong with you? Why are you separated from the rest of the family? But you may not be aware at the time that they're just doing what they've seen, modeling behavior. So let's talk about parenting and messaging. Parenting and messaging go hand in hand. Why? Because you are your child's first teacher. Maternal mental health is extremely important, because if mommy is not okay, then the family is not okay. You are the lifeline. You are the one who holds everything together. You are the glue. Not only are you considered the co-protector in your family, you're also considered the co-provider. And so you set the mood, the tone for what your family dynamics is going to be. And so I would love for you to take a moment to think about the messages that you received as a child and how they shaped you and influenced you to become the person that you are today. Now, some of those thoughts will not be helpful. Some of those messages that you received will be unhelpful. And they still impact you and shape you and mold you. And they still bother you. And you still have some resentment about those messages too, to be quite honest. But today we're going to learn about how those unhelpful messages impacted you and then how you're going to turn it into a helpful message. Okay? So when I was young, I was told that I was super, super talkative. Super, super talkative to the point where my granddaddy, he used to call me Motor Mouth. Can you believe that? And so when I was in kindergarten, first, second grade, on my report card, right next to my grade, it can be that I had an A. And they would write, talks too much, right? Exclamation point. And that was so mean to me as a child, because I was like, I mean, am I not supposed to socialize with my friends? And so then as I got older, right, I became a passive communicator where I suppressed my thoughts and my feelings and allowed other people's needs to go before my own. And so I would swallow what I wanted to say. And then people would say, why are you so passive? That didn't bother you? And I'd say, it's okay. But in reality, it wasn't okay. So then as I matured and I got around some really great people, they taught me how important my voice was. They taught me how important it was to get out what I was feeling, express myself, because I had some really good things to say. And they told me that I was insightful and that people needed to hear my thoughts and people needed to hear my experiences and that I would be able to be helpful in my community and in society and the global community as well. So then I started speaking up. And then when I began to speak, you guys, let me tell you, people were like, where have you been hiding? Can you come and speak at this venue? And it then propelled me into my purpose. I wouldn't be sitting here before you today if those people didn't turn that unhelpful message into a more helpful message. Now, my grandfather loved me so, so much, and he made it a joke. And so now I can say I'm proud to be a Motor Mouth. Because if it's going to help heal someone, if it's going to help change someone's life, if it's going to transform someone's thinking so that they can become the best version of themselves, then I will keep talking and talking and talking. So as long as they get these helpful messages and it sticks and it plants into their minds and the seed germinates and then it blossoms and blooms into something beautiful. So let's take a moment to think about you. What are some messages that you received as a child that were unhelpful? Now, what are some messages that now you want to take and you want to fix and change them into helpful messages? And so I'm going to teach you a defense mechanism really quick. It's called sublimation. You want to take that negative thing and you want to take it and express your frustration and your anger and you want to turn it into something positive. So for example, when you say, hey, you talk too much, guess what? I'm going to start me a talk show. Okay. When you say that I need to lose weight, guess what? Oh, I'm going to go hard. I'm going to go. And you said I'm fat. Oh no, when the next time you see me, I'm going to look so good and I'm going to be so healthy and your head is going to turn and you're going to do nothing but say, you look so good. I can't believe it. Right? So let's talk about the messages that our children receive from us. Right? What are some unhelpful messages that you've told your children? Have you said that your children were bad? Did you refer to them as hyperactive? Did you say to your child that your child was annoying? Those are unhelpful messages. Why? Because it seems as if, you don't like them as much. It makes it seem as if when you say they're bad, then that means that they can't do anything good. When you say that they are too hyperactive and they're all over the place, it makes it seem as though you don't know or you aren't capable of teaching them how to manage their behaviors. Because maybe they are, experiencing some impulse control and they need some support from you. It is time for us to be a little bit more compassionate and have a little bit more empathy with our children because they have a lot going on. And so do you. Why? Because we are now distance learning, right? We are in a space where we have the opportunity to shape and to mold our children into the best little us's. The best little versions of us that we can. I just made that word up, right? And so you want to take them and spit shine them up. So when the world opens back up fully and we're not in this pandemic, you reintroduce them in a manner that you can be proud of, right? And so it is important that all those unhelpful messages, you begin to turn them into helpful ones. And so in talking about messages that are helpful and unhelpful, let's talk about these unhelpful thoughts that lead to your storm so that you can then fix them, right? And so that your child can see how resilient you are when you're managing stress. And then they can look back and they can say, wow, my mommy was resilient. Wow, my daddy was resilient. And whenever they experienced any type of trouble, I knew that they were going to be okay. And so now I can be okay when I'm experiencing trouble and when I'm experiencing moments of difficulty.
Okay, let's go into the unhelpful thoughts that lead to your storm, y'all. Okay, so when unplanned events in your life happen, oftentimes your automatic thought becomes self-defeating and negative. This then triggers negative mood and patterns of behavior. So here are some examples. Are y'all with me? Okay, I quit. I don't want to do this today. I can't do it and I'm not going to do it. This is just too much for me to handle. I'm in a dark space. I can't wake up. I always make mistakes. Darn it, I missed my doctor's appointment. I don't care. My life has no meaning, so I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not good enough. I give up. No one loves me. So these are the unhelpful thoughts that you may be having in your storm, but we're about to fix that. Okay, so how do we fix these unhelpful thoughts? Well, it's 5 steps to it. Are you ready? All right, let's go. First of all, you're going to stop the thought, interrupt the storm. So when you get that thought that you can't do this or it's negative, you have to immediately stop the thought and think of something good that you did today. Think of something positive. Just stop it. Like, you know how you have red, green. When you get that stoplight, you got to say, stop. I'm not doing it. You're going to go on green. You're not going to stop on red. Then you're going to replace that thought with a positive thought about your capabilities, what you have attempted to accomplish. And as we say in the mom's class, you got to be kind to yourself, because guess what? We all have to be kind to ourselves. We as mothers, we are nurses. We are the taxi drivers. We are now the lunch lady that have to serve lunch, but we don't get paid for them services, do we, ladies? So guess what? You got to be kind to yourself. So an unhelpful thought you may be having is, I always make mistakes. That's okay. You know how you turn that into a helpful thought? You say, everyone makes mistakes. I try my best. Let me see what I can do to achieve my goal. The third thing is you want to identify the problem. How do you identify the problem? You do not make a big deal out of the problem. You don't just say, okay, well, this is a bigger problem than what it needs to be. You kind of make the problem work to your advantage. You make it be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm feeling, and I'm going to minimize the problem. Don't make it something bigger than it is, okay? You attempt to fix the problem to the best of your ability or seek support, right? Now, when you do that, seek support from family members, a group member. You can seek it from your best friend. Have a support system. In the DC Moms program, we definitely encourage people to have a support system. And it's so important. We all have a support system, whether we like it or not. You need someone to talk to, because when you have them days with your babies or your significant other, your husband, you need someone to talk to. And then 5, evaluate your mood. And when you evaluate your mood, you know how you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like taking a shower. It can be a rainy day. You're like, I don't feel like it today. You say, okay, but I'm gonna get up and do it. Evaluate your mood before you get up. And don't wait to evaluate. Don't wait to say, oh, I'm gonna have a bad day in the morning. Wait to the end of the day and then evaluate your mood, because by then you have done the things you need to do to solve the problem to the best of your ability and being kind to yourself. And then think about the messages you send to your children when you're in a crisis, as Ms. White said. Sometimes as parents, we just go off. And then your child may go to school and they may throw a tantrum and you're getting a call. Oh, your child is acting out, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my, I shouldn't have acted out, because now they're doing the same behaviors you did. So it's always important to stay calm through your storm and turn that unhelpful thought into a helpful thought, a positive thought. And I encourage every one of you to do it who's listening today. Okay. Messaging to send to your children while calming your storm. Are you ready? Okay, so let me give you some tips here. So let your children know to give you a few minutes to think and calm down. When your kids are getting on your nerves and you've done that virtual learning and you're at your last straw, you can say, baby, I need you to go upstairs for a minute. Mama need a break. You may need to go out in the porch. You may need to go to the store. You may need to lock the bathroom door and do some deep breathing, all right? And then number 2, take a moment and go into a room and practice deep breathing exercises, as I mentioned before. You can do it at night. And then you know what else you can do? You can do it with your children. Say, come on over here and breathe with me. You need to breathe together, because we're both going through the moment. We're going through a storm, and I need you to breathe with me. 3rd, practice fixing your unhelpful thoughts. So when you get those thoughts, practice every day. So it just becomes a norm in your life. You're not just having unhelpful thoughts. If something doesn't happen for you, guess what? There's a greater plan in store for you. It's not your business to know, but it's coming, because guess what? Every storm has a positive rainbow at the end of the day. So when you are calm, you turn to your children and give them a hug or sense of affection. So, our kids do things we don't like. They all do things. We're all doing virtual learning. Give your babies a hug. Tickle them and say, why you do that? I love you. You didn't give them all these kisses and embarrass them in front of their friends. They're going to be like, oh, Mom, don't do that. You're embarrassing me. I know you love me. So those are, just show that positive affection. Give your kids positive boosting affirmations. You can say, I love you so much. You're super smart. You're gonna take care of Mama in that big mansion one day. You can say, I appreciate how much you care for me. And you can say, you are such a sweetheart, and have a big hug. These are just some examples. You can have your own. One of the ones that I tell my children is, you can do it. You don't give up in anything they face. And I'm a mother of adult children, and I'm a mother of one minor child. So I'm always telling my kids, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Look at your mama. Your mom is a superstar. Okay? So that's the message I want to send out to you guys, because that's what I do as a CMHA every day. Okay? Now we're going to go over some practice, y'all. Y'all ready? So I want to get some of your thoughts that you can put in the chat when I ask you these 5 questions, but I'm going to give you a scenario first. So you have multiple school-age children who you will be supporting in distancing learning for 1 year. And I said 1 year. I ain't say 3 months. I said 1 whole year. You have a full-time job and other household responsibilities like doing the laundry. You are the taxi driver. You're the nurse. You are everything. You're the cook. Okay. And then all the teachers want you to submit class assignments on time, every deadline. So they want you to get online if you have technical difficulties. They want you to complete an assignment. They want you to help the child. They want you to do all these things, okay? What is your first thought? Can somebody put in the chat to me, what is your first thought? I'll give you a few moments. I can tell you what my first thought would be. I would be overwhelmed. I would be over here sweating like pigs in a blanket. Because I'd be like, oh my God, how am I going to do all this? My brain I can barely handle working 8 hours a day, much less doing this. And that's a whole full-time job. And then you got to fix, number 2, you fix that unhelpful thought, right? So you fix that unhelpful thought by saying, I am enough. I'm going to do the best I can here. If the child doesn't finish the assignment, well, I can turn it in tomorrow. I have a busy work schedule, and you can talk to the teachers. Those are helpful thoughts that you can have during this process, this time of virtual learning. You identify the problem. Again, don't make it into something bigger than what it is, because sometimes as moms, we just worry so much, and the kids be like, you tripping, it ain't that serious. And you'll be like, what? It is that serious. You got to turn in your assignment. What do you mean? But don't turn it into something big. You just say, look, I need you to finish your assignment, okay? How will you attempt to solve the problem? So you come up with solvable ideas. Don't try to be Superwoman, because we all try to be like Wonder Woman. We are not women. We don't have a magic lasso, okay? We don't have that. We only have ourselves and other fellow moms, okay? So try to come up with some suitable ideas. Don't try to be Superwoman. We're not that, ladies. We're human. What is your mood and message to your children? So what is your mood when you've done all this? You feel good at the end of the day, because guess what? You got through another day of homeschooling. We're in like the 3rd or 4th week of homeschooling, I want to say. So guess what, ladies? Congratulations. You got through it. Bravo. You got through it. We're all getting through it. So bravo to you. Know you're doing a good job. And the message to your children is you can do whatever you want to do. This is a stressful moment for everybody. It's everybody going through this. So I want you to practice, practice, practice. This is what we do in the moms class. This is just a little bit of what we do. And we have such positive, outlets with this, because we even had a class, and we were talking about virtual learning, and the parents came up with some tips, which I think were fabulous. And I'll just give you one. I can only give you one sneak preview. One of them is to make sure that your kids are ready for school the night before. Make their lunch. Make sure they have their computers turned on and for the night, so they can have a good day at class. And that's just one of them, preparing them for school, having them do their lunches. And if you want to know more, we are always here to help you. And that is what DC Moms is about. We're here to help moms who are transforming and going to the next journey, because their journey really begins when the 8-week course is over. We've just begun to do the work. And I hope that you got something out of Unhelpful Thoughts today. Okay, let's talk about reflections. How did you feel calming your storm today? And as you look at this picture, just look at that tree and look at the water. I know I love the ocean. I love any type of water, because it calms you down. It gives you that Zen feeling. So if somebody can put in the chat, if you woke up today and you knew you had to do all this stuff, talk about how you felt about your storm today. Did you feel like you can survive your mental storm moving forward and what we've taught you today? Describe how will your children respond to the storm today? I know it's early in the morning. You had your coffee, you had your good old breakfast, your oatmeal, because it's kind of chilly outside today. But again, just let us know what the storm is looking like, what your storm is looking like, in a reflection of it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tate, for giving us really all these tools to put in our toolbox in order to fix unhelpful thoughts. Listen, unhelpful thoughts when we're in crises, unhelpful thoughts when we're in conflict, unhelpful thoughts overall lead to emotional struggles, which is why it is so important for us to focus on mental health and well-being, as well as a social support network. And so we want to leave you with a crisis response plan to deal with your mental storm. This could also be considered as your survival guide. And so we have a 7-step process to help you get into a place where you will be calmer. You can survive that mental storm, because all storms pass. And you would then be able to feel better about how you responded to whatever situation you had to deal with, okay, or to address. All right, so the first step is deep breathing. You should have known. That is our go-to response. First thing you need to do, like for example, when there's a fire, you know to stop, drop, and roll, right? Okay, when you have a crisis that is causing you to have some emotional turmoil, you need to stop and do some deep breathing, okay? And so with deep breathing, you're allowing the oxygen to flow through your body and to your brain all the way throughout your bloodstream so that you can then be able to come up with better ideas, be able to calm yourself. And then guess what? Because moms set the tone, they set the atmosphere for how people will feel, right? You then get to shift the atmosphere and shift your mindset into one that is more productive. And then you kick into problem solving mode. All right. So then step 2, we're going to fix that unhelpful thought. Fix that unhelpful thought. Then you want to identify the problem. What is it that's ailing you? What is important right now? What is needed? How do you need to show up as the problem solver, the ultimate problem solver in your family? Step 4, you want to come up with 3 possible solutions to the problem. It is always good to have options so that when plan A doesn't work, you go to plan B and then you go to plan C. Right? Because there's not just one way to solve a problem. There's something called the law of equifinality. There is more than one way to skin a cat. Okay. There is more than one way to solve a problem, in other words. And then step 5, you want to identify a support system, or you want to identify someone to help you solve the problem. As I mentioned, we are not alone. We are in this together. That's why when Ms. Tate mentioned that our moms came together to help us identify what are some helpful tips to get us prepared for distance learning so that we can have a successful school year. The moms all poured in and we said, okay, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. And they all felt good about it. I know I did. And so then step 6, when calm enough, right? When your mental storm is dissipating, go to your children and show them affection. Let them know again that while mom may have been frustrated, while mom may have felt overwhelmed, while mom may have felt sad, that she was able to go get her moments and her thoughts, get her moment to herself, get her thoughts together, devise a plan to solve a problem, and then she was able to return, showing love, showing affection because she's resilient. And the same for dads as well. And then finally, step 7, you want to repeat deep breathing. Why? Because guess what? Sometimes when you're overwhelmed, you get headaches, you get eye pain, right? You get migraines, and sometimes you get chest pain. And so it's very, very essential for you to understand the physiological impact, which is positive, of the deep breathing exercise. So here's some next steps. Now that you have new skills, right, we want to make sure that you have some form of support. So now we're going to help you increase your social capital. Now, if you are in need of direct therapeutic support, you want to contact your state's or your jurisdiction's Department of Mental Health or your Department of Behavioral Health. You want to seek therapists that specialize in cognitive behavioral therapy, parenting, or who serve the maternal population. That's just a quick helpful tip in case you said, you know what, during this presentation, you said, you know what, I think I might need to talk to someone. Because everyone needs a safe space. And it may not always be with your friends, it may not always be with your family, but it may just need to be with a mental health professional where you can just vent and get some guidance. So, what can we answer? Do you have any questions for us in the chat?
So Ashley, I'm looking in the chat and we have some amazing questions. I'm not sure if we have time to answer them all, so let me throw one great one to you now.
Okay.
One question is, how to work with your children when unhealthy messages have been fed to them from teachers, family members, or other children? These messages seem to be challenging to correct.
That's a very good question. So what you would do then is you would then ask your child, what are these messages? Where do they come from? And then you have an honest conversation with them about how that message is not something that you and your family support. It is not the foundation or belief system that you and your family have, and you continue to repeat it. This is why open and honest conversation with your children is so important, because you have to understand what the source is, and then you have to show up in a way where you're saying, okay, I'm here to educate you, I'm here to listen to you, I'm here to guide you. And so then you begin to undo some of those messages. You get to then allow your child to think critically and to question what those messages are, and then you can tell your child the intention of those messages. Say, for example, if a person says some profanity, right, and your child then picks it up, then you teach your child that profanity is not acceptable because it is not respectful language.
So model the behavior. Perfect.
Model the behavior.
We have additional questions, but let's ask the question that everyone wants to know.
Okay.
How can people be a part of DHS's DC Moms program?
Oh, yes. So DHS, the Department of Human Services Economic Security Administration, only allows moms who are receiving TANF benefits to be eligible for the program. So the way that we determine eligibility is that you must be receiving TANF benefits, you must be a parent that is 18 years of age or older, and your child must be living with you in the home. You also must be experiencing some emotional struggles. And the way that you can get in contact with us is by simply sending an interest email at dcmoms@dc.gov.
Perfect. I think you've answered all our questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us today. It has just been such a pleasure to be able to join you. Here's our contact information if you wish to learn more about the DC Moms Partnership Program and about the DC Department of Human Services programming and two-generation approach. We hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. Take great care.